2021 and 2023 or something of that, a 3-year span, whatever it was. And I guess, according to the reports, 5 of them were not viable. But 3 of them were, and were left to die. And that just struck me. I don't know, just the vision of it and reading about it. And then the part that really was the dagger was whatever year was the report stopped ending, started, the numbers that they didn't have after the last number that they had was due to the fact that Waltz had the fucking wording in the legislation removed to require reporting.
Oh, wow.
So not only are they doing this, now they're not even required to let you know how many fucking times they're doing it.
Right.
And that just was such a gut punch to me. Just the level of depravity and detachment and soulless inhumanity that it takes to not only come up with legislation like that, then pass it, and then have the people actually, the doctors and the nurses actually doing the shit, applying this bullshit, but then to take away the one shred that may give you at least an insight into how this is working out. You take that away. The one bit of that would give any legitimate accountability to your bullshit is now, that's not even, you don't have to do that now. Just get rid of them.
No, the entire Democrat Party is anti-transparency, dude. They're all about hiding everything. They are the least transparent people in this country, right? Followed along by the rest of the Uniparty. But yeah, everything in government is deliberately shrouded so that the average people will be confused by the language. It'll never see the light of day. It's, hidden one way or another. And they find many, many creative ways to do it. Like write something that, 1,700 pages long that nobody will ever read, and then title it something that it has nothing to do with, right? Personally, I think we should pass a law that says no law shall be written exceeding 10 pages, with Times New Roman 12 point, and that's it. You can't, if it goes further than that with these margins or whatever, you can't be a law, because it's ridiculous. Who the hell? And then that would solve a hell of a lot of problems, because people could actually read this shit and then talk about it. But that's not the way our government works, man. They pass this shit in the middle of the night.
Well, it's even layered into the way they word the referendums and how they phrase things, and the yes means no and the no means yes scenarios that play out with these things. Like this, it's so deceitful at every level.
Yeah, it's written by
It's like they want to do all these horrible things, but they want no. And if you were doing great things, wouldn't you want a paper trail? Wouldn't you want to wave that flag and have for future, like, this is the record of what we did. Isn't this great? Elect us again. Why are you burying the receipts of all these great things that you're doing for everybody, right?
Yep. That's because it's what they're doing is evil, and like the Bible says, the people that are like that, they want to keep their deeds hidden in darkness because they don't want people to see what they're doing. It's terrible. And I don't know how to go about fixing it in toto, except for, starting by getting Donald Trump elected into office and get rid of these people that are just nuts. I mean, they like, Tim Walz is a total evil, psychotic, demon-filled, slithering snake, man. I mean, these people are comfortable with killing full-born children, full-term children. It's disgusting. Yep. John says out there that because we keep electing lawyers to these public offices, stop electing attorneys. Yeah, from dog catcher to president. He's right, because attorneys, man, shroud everything. They're the number one people that have shrouded everything in language that nobody else can understand. They did that shit on purpose to justify their own careers. And the left has been doing that ever since the 60s. I mean, here we are, we're talking about migrants. No, they're illegal aliens, man. We just keep changing the language. Abortion has nothing to
Yeah.
do with women's health. That's ridiculous.
No.
They're holding up
Yeah.
this one thing where a woman almost died because apparently she went to the hospital and the hospital didn't have time for her, probably because they were caring for migrants, and they gave her a damn pill. And the pill wasn't, didn't do it enough, and apparently there was crap left inside of her, and she went and she needed to have a D, what do they call that?
I think it was
Twins, yeah, and so only one came out, and they didn't give her enough drugs or something. But it was the problems with the drugs, man. But they looked at that one marginal incident, and they lie and say, because of Trump's abortion bans, there are women bleeding to death in the parking lots of hospitals, man.
Yeah.
That's a bunch of crap, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, what disturbs me more than anything is in many of these places, his position, like Wall's position, was radical on the whole transing thing, too. I find it abhorrent that the schools can now teach your children that their gender is fluid, put them into a questioning state. Then if they choose to go against what their biological sex is and change their name, they will keep your name at school. You have a school name, and then you have a home name, and they hide this shit from the parents.
What the fuck?
Okay, yeah. And then they're allowed to prescribe them something? Are you kidding me? They're not wards of the state, dude. They're people's children. But, in places, people like Walls and, and Newscomb and all that, California, they're totally comfortable doing that kind of shit, right?
These people are cosplayers, like in life.
Yeah, they
put on these costumes and they go out there and they say these stupid fucking things that are not based in any remote fucking reach of realm of reality.
Yep.
And then they go away, they teach this to their kids. They do, it's not just something you do on the weekends. Like, these motherfuckers are taking this to the mainstream. Like, yeah, no, I'm a pony today. I'm a fucking what? What?
Yeah.
And you're teaching kids.
Yeah.
Now all these kids we're testing at such a low level now because, and there's videos of this back a few years ago, and there are now, where these teachers are thrilled. They're proud of the fact that no, we're not teaching history and science, and now we're teaching DEI and social justice and all this other stupid shit.
Yep.
And now we're seeing the product of that. We're testing bottom of the barrel in a lot of areas now as a result of this, because they're not teaching them. They're literally not teaching them the shit that they're supposed to be teaching them.
Yeah, you know what came out today?
And they're proud of it.
Yeah, right. You know what came out today about Maine? Guess where we're ranked in the nation as far as education and testing schools are concerned. Guess what our schools?
Oh, it's got to be low. It's got to be low, like 40s, 30s.
50.
Can't be good.
50th.
Oh, well, 50. I didn't have 50s on my. 50th. I didn't have 50s on the bingo card.
We are so progressive here, dude. And we are transing our kids so fast. As a matter of fact, our state aspires to be a destination location for sex change surgery for underage children. That's right. And because of that, all of that progressiveness, we've got the worst school system in the entire country because they're teaching them to chop their dicks off.
Wow. Is that still, because the whole time I've been there, southern Maine was always more blue, the blue part. And then the further you went north, like where I was, and then north of that, it seemed like way more red, and maybe some places on the down east were had splotches of blue in them.
Portland, and all
is that still the case, or is it spread beyond that?
No, it's still the case. It's that same sort of balkanization, I think, of the entire country. It's a microcosm of every place. What's happening is all the libbies move into the really expensive real estate in the cities and the towns, right?
Yeah.
Like Bangor, Portland, that whole down east area.
Yeah.
And they're all totally Democrat libby. But if you look at the landmass of Maine,
right,
you'll find that it's predominantly red. Everything's red, but there's these little blue dots, right? But that's going on everywhere in the nation. Yep.
It's like they corrupt these population centers, and then they control the rest of it.
Right, which is why they
And
want to. Which is
that's
why.
what that's the main reason I think. And I'm not really a student of it, so I don't completely understand it. But uh, my theory is that and maybe this is the theory, that the reason they're so keen on getting rid of the electoral college is that almost 100% puts the elections in New York, California, and Florida and Texas, maybe.
Yep. Yep.
Like, you've reduced these elections to 4 states, because if you're going with a popular vote.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's why they want to bulldoze the electoral college, because it stands in their way, and they want the entire thing. They basically want a democracy, a full blown democracy.
Yeah.
They want to trash this whole idea of a republic. They want to get rid of the safeguards, basically, that say, look, we understand that there are passions of the populace and the masses, but we also want states represented that have smaller populations as well. And the same idea, that's why we have the Senate and the House. The House goes by the number of people in the census as to how many seats are assigned and the districting and all that stuff. But in the Senate, it's 2 senators per state, period. And so you got to get through that gate where everybody each state has an equal vote. And I think the Electoral College is very similar. The best I understand it, it's been explained to me, and I still don't completely understand it, but I understand it a lot better than I did before. But that's what it protects us from. And they want to get rid of that. They want mob rule.
Yeah.
Yep. And mob rule is not good. It's not going to be a good place for us to be. But we really need to get. I think that we need to get a hold of our education system. We need to take basically all these organizations that have been weaponized, and if we don't need them, get rid of them, like entire departments, like the Department of Education and stuff like that. And then we need to just I think we need to reduce the size of the federal government way back from where it is. We need to do most of our business locally in the states, just like with the abortion issue, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's where it's at. And I think as part of that too, it also is going to require, but it's also going to give people more control over their local environment, but they have to show up for it. Because you look at who turns out at these town meetings and who's voting on these little local ordinances and shit, and it's a very small percentage of the overall population of these areas, no matter where you go, for the most part.
It is, and that's the problem.
I do. I'm a big believer in local government and state rights and that, but I also think we need to exercise them, or the same happen on a smaller level. The powerful and the elite will be able to put their agenda in because not enough people show up to counter the argument.
Yep, you're absolutely right, and I think that's one of the things that conservatives miss the boat on, and some of it is innocent and some of it's lazy, right? In my opinion, I think that
Sure.
people are working, they're tired, they're paying their taxes, they're doing all that stuff, and who the hell's got the time to be activist, politically active? And so, I think that's part of the problem. And then I think part of it is lazy. And what's happening now is I think that we've got a generation of boomers and the late Gen Xers, right, that are kind of going, hey, all right, damn it, I would rather be fishing right now. Okay, I think I earned going fishing. Yeah. But you know what? I got to do this shit, right? I got to be sitting here screaming on the internet at the top of my lungs about why it's important to get our country back, because literally I think that we are on the edge of 1,000 years of darkness. I mean, I do think that we are in for, many, many years of an authoritarian system. If we don't pull this damn thing up from the nosedive we're in, I think we're headed into a cliff, a mountain. And if we don't if we don't pull it up, man, it's going to go full blown 1984, man. Somebody brought up the movie 1984. It's like take your pick of which dystopian reality you want to live in, Hunger Games or, whichever one, because we're going there, dude. We're there now.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely, it's like nothing I've ever seen, that's for sure.
So what do you?
I do feel it. I feel very much like we are on the precipice of something really
bad. Yeah, we are. And I mean, like, one of the things that we were talking about earlier, there's a couple of shorts I wanted to make, but did you see that the manifesto, one page of it was released? The shooter number two's manifesto? Yeah. Did you see
The
it?
part with the $150,000 bounty.
Yeah, that's the part. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting thing to
Yeah.
release by law enforcement, considering they're pretty damn tight-lipped about usually everything, don't you think?
Yeah. I just think you have to be, I don't even know what the word would be, to not see what's going on here. Whether you hate Donald Trump and are a diehard lifelong Democrat or not, like, that should make no difference. Like, this is so obvious. And yet there's still people on there saying otherwise, you know. I choked down some MSNBC the other day just because I don't know, I have to remind myself every once in a while, I guess, but oh my goodness, like, just, it's, I don't even have words for it, man. It's just, it's insane that they're just so blatant. They're not even pretending anymore.
Well,
they still haven't released the manifesto from the Nashville shooter, I believe. I'm not sure if that's still true, but I believe that's true, that they have still not released that manifesto.
No, I believe it leaked out.
And yet,
yeah, I believe it leaked out.
Yes, yeah, it was leaked out, but no, they didn't actually intentionally release it, and yet they popped this out.
Right?
Like, really?
Well, what about the Vegas shooter? What do we know about the Vegas shooter? Zero, nothing. Right? Yeah, that was kind of weird.
What we do know is, like, much like a lot of things, we know that what they said isn't what happened.
Right.
That much, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there is a reason they're doing this. They're stoking violence against him. And, man, I'll never forget, you're talking about MSNBC, man. Crazy shit. I'm sitting there the next day after the assassination attempt number 2. And by the way, let's just throw in here that Merrick Garland dropped the attempted assassination charge. And then the assholes
that's right. I didn't catch that
page. So explain that to me. You are in possession of that page, but yet you are not going to charge the guy with attempted assassination? What the hell is that all about, right? But that's crazy in and of itself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just nuts. But yeah, I mean, it's clearly obvious because the next day on MSNBC, they said the two stupid-ass talking heads were talking to each other. And the one stupid-ass head lady said that the other stupid-ass head lady, she said, you know, is the Trump campaign going to learn? Are they going to figure it out? Are they going to figure out that they need to tone down their rhetoric, you know, so that this kind of thing stops happening? Yeah. And the other lady's like, well, you know, I know, blah, 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 blah. And they're talking, and I'm like going, you want to talk about dystopian reality? What they just said was, you know, is he going to learn that he better shut up or somebody's going to kill him? He better shut up because somebody's going to shoot him. You know, he better just shut up. Stop saying the things you're saying because somebody can kill you. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
And that's normal. Yeah. But that's not normal. That's for the furthest thing from normal, right? But every day.
No, it's yeah.
Yeah, I'm convinced that all of this is an inside job. They can't stand it. It's the deep state.
Yeah.
Because they know people are going to jail. And we're talking about these people are all puppets of big agra, big pharma, the deep state, all these deep agencies that have all these relationships with all these big ag and big pharma. It's so gross and deep and corrupt that people have no compunction about killing other people, lying about other people, destroying their careers. We've been seeing it for years. And for them, this is the Super Bowl. Don't you think? This is it. This is the big one. As Fred Sanford said, this is the big one, Elizabeth. It is.
Yeah, no, it is. And it all, because it's all tied together, and you can see now that they've definitely elevated their game to the point where they're not concerned about public backlash at all. And that should be really terrifying, because there was a point where that still moved the needle somewhat, and it doesn't anymore. And that's why they're willing to just come out and openly and blatantly say and do these things. And watching 5 minutes of Karine, Paul, Jean, Picard, Pierre, whatever the fuck her name is, is all you need to know about that. Like, when they're asking the questions they're asking, her stupid looks and stupid answers are in flipping through her fucking notebook. And you're not there, lady. You're not going to find what you look for in there.
Let me tell you something.
It just shows me, it proves to me that they don't give a fuck what we think anymore. And they're not scared of what we may or may not do. They don't give a fuck.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Creamy Jean-Pierre, boy. I hate that stupid little black Barbie doll, Cupid doll. And she gets up there, man, and this is the same thing about this assassination attempt, right? You know, Peter Ducey, God love him. He gets up there, man, and he goes, you know, it was just like a day and a half ago. Donald Trump was attempted assassination for a second time. And you just used the word in this press conference, not but 2 minutes ago, the word threat. When are you and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris going to stop using that language? And you know what she said? Do you know what she fucking said?
Yeah.
She goes, Peter. And she clutches her pearls. Peter.
Yeah.
How dare you? How dare you? How we are against political violence here, Peter. And what you have just said right there, what you are saying, Peter, is dangerous.
Yes.
And
That's a dangerous question.
Dangerous question. Yeah. And I'm like going, what fucking planet are we living on, man? Seriously. And that is, again, this is the woman that'll get up there and tell you that this is the most transparent administration in history. And we don't even have proof of life for Joe, right? At this moment.
Right.
We don't know if this, you know, he's making breath on the mirror, dude. I mean, we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pathetic, man.
Yeah.
And they're keeping her out of the press and all that kind of shit. They don't want her. Oh my God, after that Oprah interview, what a bomb disaster that whole thing was, right? Man, she's just a total train wreck. Every time she gets on, all she does is this. All right? That's all she does. That's all she's got in the gas tank, man.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's pathetic. The woman is totally, absolutely vacant. And that's why they can't let her talk to anyone. They can't let her go. Even in the best of situations, they try and handle her. And she can't even hit the softballs, man. Yeah. She couldn't be on a T-ball team, right? What do you think's going to happen in this?
What about that is...
Go ahead.
That there's so many women out there that... I was just going to say, there's plenty of qualified, intelligent women that could be in her position that would help matters. And they're not there. The women who should be in power, if there should be any, the ones that should be are definitely not the ones that are, usually.
No. And I tell you, they screwed themselves because she was a DEI pick. Joe Biden said, she's a DEI pick. I said I'd pick a black woman, and there you go. I got you a black woman.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so now, if they had passed her up, it would have looked real terrible. So they had to take that turd and they had to polish it. And let me tell you, it's not holding the shine real good, I don't think. Do you think that people are buying it? I think that every day more and more people, the more they hear her and the more that people, I mean, I've never heard so many Democrats walking away as I have lately. Have you?
Yeah, I think the opposite of what happens when they smear or indict Trump happens to her every time she opens her mouth. Like, instead of going up, she's going down. Like, she's losing people. Right. Because she is so all over the place trying to please everybody that in the process of doing so she's alienating groups of people along the way.
Black people,
even if she's
black.
Yeah. So she's not. I don't know what the plan is for her. I don't know what the deal is. I'm wondering what the Vince McMahon WrestleMania swerve number is going to be, because are they really going to run with her? Is that really what we're doing here? I still don't know that that's the end game here for these jackasses, because the problem with her, from all accounts, is that where she appears like this fucking dullard, which she certainly does, but she is quite a scheming. What's the word I'm looking for here?
I know it. It starts
She's
with
someone
a
that's definitely
C.
looking up
It starts.
interests and she buys into her own hype and thinks she's probably a little smarter than she may be, and so she, like Joe was easy because he was out of it. She may actually push and try to, is what I'm hearing. I don't know how true that is, but I just don't see. I don't see how they plan to do what they're trying to do with this person, I guess, any more than I did Biden. So
I don't think they're going to switch horses again in this race. I mean, they'd have to literally.
No, I don't think so.
But I mean, I think their only hope now is going to be the cheating, and I don't even think that. Even the mail-in ballot stuff, man, we're making huge gains in, many of the swing states. And like Pennsylvania, we're coming in with more registered voters now because of Scott Pressler. There's just all sorts of things going on. There were shenanigans that we recognize as being pulled last time. And there are lots of forces out there counteracting that. And I think without those key elements right there, I think they're going to fail to do that. I mean, they're going to have to really pull a fast one with the Dominion voting machines, So, yeah, Mayo Monkey says October surprise is just around the corner. Well, one of the theories is that the October surprise might be that she might become president and Joe's going to go away somehow, resign, die, something. Yeah, so she will look more presidential before then. What do you think of that?
Oh yeah, it's a very real possibility. My big question is this, though. Let's just say that we're those as individuals, as a group, and we have a lot of poll watchers, and we have everyone's got a high vote turnout, and we are confident. And then they decide, they come out, and they either they just announce like, well, she won, or they say he won, but then they don't. Congress, the Democrat, I don't remember his name now, said they wouldn't wouldn't sign off on it, certify it. That's the word I'm looking for. Let's just say they do that, because that's essentially what happened in 2020. I mean, I was watching the numbers, and it was clear that he had these places locked up, and then the next day it's all flipped. Like, okay, that happened. So let's just say that they just come out and just look you in the eye and go, "Yep, she's the new president." What do we do then? Yeah. What do we do then? Because we know, that's my big question.
Yeah,
because we all see it. Like but if you start looking at like the comment sections on social media under the White House or Biden or Harris, these people, you can just see, like, you don't need polls to see that the majority of people are not for this ideology. Whether they're for Trump or not, they're not for that ideology. So we know that. So even the people that aren't going to vote for Trump that aren't staunchly going to vote, not going to vote for them. They're going to vote for a third-party candidate, write somebody in, or not vote at all. That's how that's going to go. So what the fuck do we do if they just go, "Yep, she won"?
Yeah,
what do we do?
I don't know.
That's my big question.
I know. I got Hugo Gerner on the thing, and it's his prediction that Trump's going to win, but because they're not going to be able to play enough shenanigans, and then they're going to not, because she's presiding over the certification, dude. If Joe lives that long, right?
Yes.
So yes. Yeah, she won't certify. And see, the problem is our side, we're always the rule followers. We're like, okay, we'll hold, okay, we'll wait till the next election, okay. What's going to happen? And to me, that's the wall I can't see past. See, I can envision pretty much everything from here to there, right? And I'm sure there's other things that I can't envision, but I've been thinking about a lot of things, wars and, scenarios like terrorism and, all sorts of things like that. But let's just assume those things don't pop off, right? Yeah. What happens the day after they go, yeah, we understand that all you guys believe it, but there's Russian hanky-panky going on. And we've got 21 intelligence agencies saying that that's what's going on. We got to investigate this, and we're not going to certify the election. What are we going to do? That's a good question.
Well, and they've already planted the seed for any pushback on January 6th with that whole fucking show. They planted the seed, and enough people out there, oh, it's an insurrection. Like, okay, well, that's fucking horse shit, because you don't even know what that word means if you really think that's what happened.
Yeah. We would have brought weapons if we really wanted to insurrect anything.
Well, that's the thing. That's my big argument to people. It's like all these gun owners, these crazy gun-toting Trumpers showed up to take over the government without their fucking guns. Are you really?
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. You need a fucking break.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But no, one scenario I see playing out, though, is if they just go, yeah, she's got it, and she's the one signing off on it, too. Oh, boy, that would be something. Is that you're going to have you potentially would have any kickback to them that would be righteous would be immediately deemed terrorism, and everybody associated with Trump at that point would be deemed a terrorist, and then they just start stomping us along the way. That's how that goes.
Right.
And that's kind of a doomsday thing. But I mean, they've got the power. They went through a lot to get it. I just don't see them just going, oh, here you go, guys, have it back. We'll be over here. Don't be too hard on us. I don't think that's how that's going to go.
Yeah, Mayo Monkey says, but if Biden resigns, it won't be the person. She won't be the person who certifies the election. It would be whoever she appointed, which is true. And so that's a good point. That stacks in favor of getting him out of there earlier, either by the 25th Amendment or he steps down because they twist his nuts and tell him to do so. But it is really bizarre. I mean, think about this, man. Mayo Monkey also said that Jill, you heard this, right? That Jill held a cabinet meeting this week. Did you hear about this?
Yeah.
Yeah. What the hell did you make of that shit?
Yeah.
I mean,
again, I just think it's just that they don't give a fuck. They don't care what we think. We're not gonna. They already know we didn't do anything. They stole it in 2020. We know that. We have verifiable data that supports that, and we did nothing. Nothing.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm not saying I know what we should have done, but I'm saying we did nothing. It just that was it. It happened, and we just okay, that's he's the president now.
No, we filed a few lawsuits, and they got thrown out of court, and
they didn't even get heard for the most part. It was standing that they were thrown out on. So it's just the whole thing is a joke.
Yep.
And here we are, all 4 years later, in the same situation. Now they're gonna just go, yeah, he won. It's you. Okay, it's your turn. Really? No. And I hate saying it because it's fucking terrifying, and it's not fun to even. It's burdensome to think this way.
It is. Well,
but
it is.
I just don't see it being any other way. I've tried to think of 1,000 different ways this could go, and I just keep coming back to that same place. They went through all this to get it. They're not just gonna fucking give it back.
No,
they're not. And they've already proven they think they don't give a fuck what we think about what they're doing. What do you think? Do you think they give a fuck about our vote?
No. Somebody, Mayo Monkey also said that an interesting point, and this speculation is so fun. I love doing this shit because it's going to get crazy. But he says that whoever she appoints is going to be the scapegoat to take the fall. So expect it to be a Republican like Liz Cheney. And you know what? That's a pretty good thought right there. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, some sellout like Liz Cheney or Adam Kinzinger crying at him.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
Yep. And he'll go, I don't know, man. I'm a Republican even. I don't trust that Trump did this, man. He's bad. Trump is bad. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Some sellout. Yep. It's going to be nuts, man.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely going to be something.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think we're going to find out a creativity to the American people if that happens. I think we're going to find a resilience. There's going to be a whole lot of people out there I don't know, they do things like control switches to electricity, and they know how to run things. And, there are Republicans out there that are just going to go, all right, I'm not going to go kill anybody, but there's ways to stuff up the plumbing, right? Shall we say, in many different ways, right?
Right.
I think that something's going to happen. I think people are just going to, maybe they're going to stop going to work. Certain groups of people, maybe they're going to stop paying taxes. Who knows? I don't know. But something. When we get that out of the ordinary, we're going to need to become extraordinary. Otherwise, we're going to just bow down and live under tyranny. That can't happen. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, I do know that measures it doesn't necessarily require like violence. You know what I mean? I think that people instantly think like, oh, it's going to have to be a revolutionary war or a civil war or whatever. But I don't think it necessarily needs to go there. You know what I mean? Because like things you're talking about, there are other avenues to make a point on a large scale. And I always go back to, and I don't recall all the politics involved in this, but I remember as a kid and reading about this guy in school and being very interested in how he went about what he did was Lech Walesa in Poland, with the working conditions for the people were terrible, and they wanted better working conditions, and the government was like, fuck off. And he led this entire national worker strike that was so large, and I'm fucking stammering over words here. It was so impactful that the government had no choice but to actually concede to the workers when they otherwise weren't going to. If those people had just accepted the fuck you and gone back to business as usual, then nothing would have changed and their conditions would have worsened. But because they unified as a group and did nothing more than just not go to work, that happened. But I mean, as far as the big thing that happened was they went on a national strike, and it changed things. And so I mean, there's more, and it's our history of groups of people unifying, because a unified group is powerful. Jim Morrison said they got the guns, but we got the numbers, and we also actually have the guns now too. So, but.
Yeah, well,
I think it's going to take that. I think more than armed assaults, it's going to take a unified group effort like at the ground level where you just don't go to work, you don't whatever it is.
Yeah.
And maybe not all will work. Maybe they'll break out those F-16s that Joe Biden was talking about and just fucking blast us all back to the fucking Stone Age. Who knows?
Well, and I mean, Mayo Monkey's saying that that when you use violins, when we all start playing violins, right at the same time, that's effective. If we all have a concert, if you will, and yeah, that it may be time at some point we need to have a concert, right? But I think that it's.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's honestly I think it's inevitable.
But I think, I think we need to be very careful talking as we're making our music, right, along the way, individually.
Yeah.
That we're careful. We want to make sure that we're able to keep our keep our music papers, our music sheets. We need to be able to hang on to our instruments, if you will, along the way. So I guess what I'm saying is I think we'll all know when the conductor goes tap, 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 tap. We'll all stop playing our funky music and it'll all come together, right? And go, and we'll all play in one note and then the music will start. But I guess what I'm saying is we need to be very, very careful along that way and just go, you know what? I'm not quite so sure I want to hear that music. I think I want to hear that concert long into the future as possible. And I think I'd rather practice a lot between now and then with a lot of other things, because there are avenues to go. But, who knows? The other thing, too, is, if the other side starts making music first, well, then, all bets are off, man.
Well, it's like when the neighbor's cranking his, music and won't quiet it down. You just go and put a bigger speaker out there with some Slayer on it and
There you
crank
go.
that up to 12 and let it play out.
Yeah, man. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be interesting, and I think that if anything, I think what we're going to find out is that it's going to be less of a. I think when we talk about things like civil unrest, I expect it to be sort of a lightning strike, but rather it's I think, going to be more of a long, drawn out struggle, right? I mean, for example, like, the Cold War took a lot of years to accomplish, right? And so it may be that this is more of a long-term struggle than it is that we're going to all of a sudden overthrow anything, on a, like, yeah,
Right.
for example, I mean, look what happened at January 6th. We all need to take a lesson from that. It was large, but nobody brought any instruments to play music, right? Again, so, but look, and even even because of that, then we got persecuted, and there's people still in jail for it and getting time for it and sentenced, and that whole machine is continuing to persecute those people. So we
Yeah.
don't want to get caught up and gummed up in that thing, because then we're not going to be very effective from
No.
inside a prison cell, right? So I guess that's my
Right.
point. Let's keep ourselves out of jail, right? Could be a good
Oh yeah.
idea, and they can put people in jail for a lot of things these days. They're starting to.
Yeah.
And the other thing is,
They sure can.
if we happen to be not careful on this particular broadcast and say the wrong things, and somebody knocks on my door, it might be the wrong day to knock on my door. We'll just see. I don't know how I feel about that, and I don't know on that particular day how that's going to go down. And I won't be very effective if I go out in a blaze of glory either, right? I'm more
Right.
effective doing what I'm doing here, you and me, and doing what we're doing over here, stimulating as much talk and conversation as possible, right?
Well, that's definitely one of the things I've had to really. I told you about the Tim Walz thing earlier, like that. Like I almost wanted to walk away from all of it. Like I didn't want to do any of it, after that. And it's the amount of stress that I can get to over this stuff is not healthy. So I really got to constantly check myself and take moments away from it. I think I even about taking moments away from it for anybody that's in the middle of this, uh, because it's hard to get your head around because this was such a great place to be for such a long time. Uh, and they've just, in such a short period of time, they've managed to really just destroy a lot of it. And what's coming is probably not going to be quick or pleasant. And that's just the reality. But if we are going to, in the long run, and maintain our freedoms and maintain our liberty, then it is going to require us, the strong-minded and the strong-willed, to be strong-minded and strong-willed. And strong-minded, strong-willed, right-thinking people are getting assaulted harder and more often than ever in history. And it is chipping away at even the strongest among us. So we have to really be vigilant in our thoughts and our actions and our words and our behaviors. And even what we take into our bodies, we need to be healthy and mentally sharp to overcome the obstacles that are in front of us. And that's really what I think.
Yeah, I think that what we need to do is fundamentally, people need to come to the point where they throw off the shackles of government in their mind because they've understood that it's become tyrannical.
Yes.
Once you get past that mental hurdle, right, now you are obliging to work within the rule structure and maintain it because it's expedient to do so, to navigate through the evil
Right.
that world that we're getting through, so that we don't get hurt, right? But I'm only complying. I'm no longer complying because I really believe that it's in my best interest, or all of our best interest, to
Yeah.
comply. I'm complying because I don't want to go to jail, right? But once you understand that, then we're in this mindset that says, okay, we will know. Because I think the big question is, when are you going to know when that time is, whatever that is? And as I explained to some lady, is to go, look, do the best you can on a daily basis to insulate yourself and say, you need to have some water around and food and all this kind of stuff, which she's already done. And, she's worried about contacting militias because she doesn't want to knock on the door at the FBI. And I'm like, well, look, you can at least know where they are. You can at least, figure out where they are. You don't have to contact them. You don't have to do nothing. You just got to know where they are. And if there's such a time comes where it's all gone sideways, and it might be in your area, it might not even be nationwide. That's what it might touch off in different places. We don't know what can happen where, and it might be fine in one part of the country and it's just going ape shit over here in the other. So yeah, but you'll know. I think we'll all know when it's time to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. I don't. Yeah, I think it's going to be fairly obvious. I think it's going to.
Yeah, I think even if that's big, small, or whatever, I guess what I'm saying is
Right.
maybe one day you're going to be sitting there and you're going to be personally responsible for pushing some piece of paper across a desk that you say, no, I'm not going to do this. I mean, or, flip that switch and you go, I'm not going to be doing that today for you, right? All of us, I don't know when that organically is going to happen. And maybe and by nature of the way that is, that things will build, like an organic strike happens, or a bunch of police don't show up to duty, or all sorts of things that we don't even know what that can look like. And people say all the time, and I do believe that it's true, that if we really understood the power we had as a group, we could put a stop to all of this immediately. But we don't, because people wake up a little bit at a time. That seems to be accelerating. You could call that some sort of awakening, whether it's spiritual or just to the obvious reality that's going on around us. But that generally builds up, right? And then as it does, there's going to be opposition trying to crush it. And so that kind of plays out to a more long-term struggle. I just don't know if we are like literally going to all of a sudden one day, like we did on January 6th around the Capitol, going freedom, and then they're going to go, oh, we give up. I don't think it's going to work that way. Or or I don't think half the military is all of a sudden going to walk off the job or whatever and turn against the government or stuff like that. I just don't, because generally people are sheeple. Psychological studies show that.
Yeah, and I think that's why there's the deception and the division, is to keep people blind to their power. And I heard years and years and years ago, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Alex Jones, but I don't think it was. I think it was somebody else. He may have said it, but that they knew that the military wasn't going to turn on its own people in large enough numbers for it to be worth it. So the plan was to have UN troops, or now they have these migrants here, which is another thing I think is, I don't think they're just here for the votes. I think it's very possible that they could be, I think they already are being kind of unleashed on the population. I don't know, some of this stuff probably sounds crazy, but I just started looking at all the possibilities because I know they're up to something. They're going to do something. So I want to try to figure out the possibilities of how and what they're going to do. But yeah, I don't, because I've said that forever. Like, I don't think the military, I don't think they're all just going to walk out. You know what I mean? But I think some of them will. I think they're going to be keen, even if they start out doing that. I don't think they're going to be keen when they get to their neighborhood or they hear shit going down to their family. And they're not going to, like, what are we doing here? But I think the other possibility is the United Nations and the migrants, I keep calling it migrants, the illegals that are already here. Yeah, I don't know. I'm fried. Just I was all fired up today,
it's
anyways.
frightening. It's frightening to contemplate, dude. It really is. It's terrifying to contemplate the potential things that are going on. That literally people that are speaking other languages may be running around in blue helmets telling people to get back the fuck inside. And if you don't believe this, I will show you footage, okay, of when the cops, Americans, I don't remember what city it was in during the COVID time. Was it Walls's state? That were going down the street screaming at people, get off their damn porches and get inside their houses and literally, quote unquote, light them up with pepper balls and paintballs.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep. And
yeah.
they weren't, and the people weren't even sure what the hell munitions they were using. But if you don't believe that that kind of shit is
Right.
possible in this country, hell, it was done to us by Americans. Now, think about the fact that we got all these sons of bitches that are on the payroll that couldn't give a two rat's ass about the Constitution and American rights.
Well, let's not forget during Katrina, the National Guard was going around confiscating guns from citizens.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, they're not.
Right.
And that's the thing to me is that what they really want is an event that gives them the reason to apply these tactics.
Right. And
Which is why I think they bait us, which is why they put us in these situations, which is why I think that however they go about it, they're going to tell us that, oh, she won, and really try to get us to fucking flip our lids, and then they're going to just go, yep, there we go.
And they're going
martial law,
they're
get
going to
fucked.
crush us. Yeah, then they're going to try and crush us. Yeah.
And I don't know where that leaves us. That's a rock and a hard place if I've ever heard of one, because I don't know. It's just disgusting that things got to this point in the first place.
Yeah, well, and
there were so many warnings and so many possibilities to put an end to this for so long. I mean, fucking, what was it, Eisenhower that was warning us about the corruption of our government being the biggest threat? And he was using the military-industrial complex, but it all applies. It's all the same theory, that we allowed something other than the American people to gain control of our government. And maybe I'm off on this, but it seems to me one guy historically, right after that speech was given, that tried to do something about it, well, they just killed his ass. And now the second guy that's come along that's actually been like, hey, wait a minute, this is kind of bullshit. They tried to kill him twice, along with everything else they've done. So
Yep, and then like you said, I think the most salient point, and I think we'll bring this in for a landing now because we've been at this for about an hour. But is that what is it that is going to be the point at which this evil force that has been brewing for a long time, like you said, and we didn't realize it until we're at this point, right? When is it going to be, or what is going to be the motivation for it to go, oh, hell, you're right. Caught me. We're just going to give up. You're right. I'm sorry. Take us to jail. That's not going to happen. Like, ever.
No.
Okay? It's just you are going to watch the full culmination of how far evil will go. And boy, it is further than you ever thought, because this is just history repeating itself, man. This is what it does. Yeah, it's going to get really shitty for a long time, I think. Yep.
Yeah, we're on track for that. Hopefully things turn around. I mean, it's definitely where it's heading, and I guess it's more, like I said, it's just a matter of readying ourselves for the possibilities, and still trying to be, somewhat sane and rational within the day-to-day operations as well.
Yeah. And then, like you said, and I think it's an important point, and this is a good way to leave it, is if you go too far down this rabbit hole, you can get depressed, right? And I deal with this even more than you. My wife and I are regular consumers, like a fire hose of X and the news and everything that's going on. And it can be overwhelming to the point where it's just like, shit, everything is rotten, everything is dirty, everything sucks, And then what happens is it's like you start to get into nihilism, and that's no good.
Yeah.
And you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to stop and watch a damn movie and make some
Yeah.
popcorn, right? And just I check out for a while. And
Yes.
you know, I think it's important for all of us to do that, is to understand when we're going to be blown, because this is a long struggle. We need to take those times to rest. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. I mean, we might be sprinting at this last minute in the last 40 days, but it is going to be a longer race. We're going to need to steady back into a pace and not go batshit crazy, right? What is it, that song? Don't let the sound of your own wheels drive you crazy. Come on, baby.
Yeah.
Right? We need to, yeah, be able to keep our heads about us, because we're no good if we're wrecked, you know. And that's what they're trying to do. Make no mistake about it. That
Oh
they
yeah.
try to make us feel like we're batshit fucking crazy. We are. We're weird, right? No, we're not weird.
Mhm.
You're weird. Okay. So anyway, all right, man. Let's wrap this up. I really enjoyed having you again, man. It was always cool, and you're always down for an organic conversation, and I like that. You're always quick on your
Oh yeah.
toes. So, man, just give me a holler, man, if you want to come back next week. And you know what? Get with me, and I can try. I'm going to be trying a couple of different video conferencing softwares to try and smooth this out and go with something that's less expensive. And so when I figure that out, I'll send you a link, and maybe we can get you working on the PC and stuff. You get your PC cooperating with the internet, man. Right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Okay,
no, I
man.
should be able to figure it out. I'm assuming it's just I need to update something, or I didn't have time to mess with it today. So
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Well, this worked out fine, man. I enjoyed talking to you. Glad that you checked in with
yeah,
us. And don't be a stranger, man. And let me know when you want to do this again. Right?
yeah, well, man.
All right,
Yeah,
Mikey.
thank
Appreciate
you.
you. We'll see you. All right, guys. That's a wrap on episode 311 live. I started out with absolutely no intro, no nothing. See, we started talking. Mikey and I started talking. And I thought it was kind of off the record. I was just asking, so what's going on? And I thought he was going to, yeah, well, I thought he was going to talk about, kind of like, well, my, health or this or any other thing. Yeah. And then he like took a hard right turn and started talking about, I started going down this rabbit hole, and he started going down about politics. And I'm like, okay, we're just going to stream right now. So I hit the stream button and I hit record. And so that's it. I think that was a wrap. I really enjoyed everybody that was here. Read the Enemies, Foreign and Domestic series by Matthew Bracken. It lays out the roadmap you're seeing today, written in the early 2000s. Enemies, Foreign and Domestic. I'll look that up. Look that up, honey. Enemies, Foreign and Domestic. Get a bookmark on that, love. So that when I can afford to rub two nickels together, I can read that.
Enemies foreign.
Yep. Enemies, Foreign and Domestic by Matthew Bracken. I like to read. I'm a spasmodic reader. Matthew Bracken. I'm a spasmodic reader. I will not read for long periods of time, except kind of like the Bible and whatever, I read on a daily basis from the internet. But I mean, as far as books, like cracking a book, and I mostly like to read hard copy books, but when I read them, I read 5-6 books at a time. I'm a binge reader, kind of like a binge drinker. And so, yeah, I like series. I like to read series. Yeah, 3-book series. I like series. Yeah, I like that real well. So, all right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm going to sign out of here so I can talk to my buddy for a little bit. You guys have a good day. My name is Tim. I am your TruthSlinger, and I am pretty much, as soon as I find the correct button, out of here. Bye-bye. Oh, donate the book, cost of 3 books for me? We'll look it up. I'll buy it, man. That'd be great. I appreciate a gift like that, man. Thank you very much. You guys have a blessed day. Bye-bye.